All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a Radiant Reality special transit video. So what we're going to be talking about today, obviously, as you can see by the thumbnail and the title of the video, is the Capricorn Full Moon. So many of you asked in the comments previously, and you really enjoyed the work that we did together last time. So I have a very special guest who's coming back to the Radiant Nation to give you guys some really great insight on the Capricorn Full Moon. His name is Letao Wang. He is I'm very proud of this fact, former student of mine for tarot, but is an absolute powerhouse and storehouse of knowledge in his own right. He is an astrologer, he is a therapist, and has multiple skills and has a pretty awesome array of oracle decks, which we're going to explore today. Letao, please introduce yourself to everybody, say hi, and let everybody know a little bit about you.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me today again. It's been awesome to be here, right? And to see you and also talk to our audience. So my name is Letao. Some of you guys might have already, seen me in the past. So I'm a spiritual counselor based in Hong Kong. I've been doing spiritual counseling for the past 11 years. And yeah, I had an amazing time, studying in your, tarot course. I think that was it, last year or 2 years ago, something like that, right? Yeah, it was just a, amazing experience. Yeah. So it's dream come true, for me to be a guest actually on your YouTube show. Yeah. So thank you
Uh,
so much for having me. Yeah.
Excellent to have you back. Thank you for being here. As you guys can see, we're kind of twinning with the t-shirts today, which is really cool. So basically today what we're going to talk to you about is the Capricorn full moon. So before we get into it, there's a few things to consider. So if you think back to last month, we had a full moon in the sign of Capricorn already. So this is what we call in astrology a blue moon, right? It's the second full moon in the same sign that follows consecutively. So if you cast your mind back to 2023, last year the blue moon took place in the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign after Capricorn. And when you follow this cycle back, because of the precession of the equinoxes, each year it will be in a different sign. So it is a pretty rare occurrence to have. So this year takes place in the sign of Capricorn, and this one is a pretty big deal because it's taking place at 29 degrees of Capricorn. That is huge. And part of the reason for that is because in astrology, the 29th degree represents what we know as a crisis degree or the anaretic degree. So this is a pretty big deal for all of us. Now, you've all heard the saying, once in a blue moon. This is what we talk about, right? So when you hear that phrase from now on, you'll know that it represents the second full moon in the same sign of the zodiac consecutively. So before we jump into all of that and what weird and wonderful energies it has for us, I want you to consider a moon cycle. When you think about our fair Lunar, anyone that knows me knows I have so much love for the moon. I'm slightly biased because I have the moon in Cancer, and Letao is a Cancer, so technically we're a little bit biased. But I love the moon, and I have a really deep affection and affinity for all things lunar. So when we're talking about a lunar cycle, the full moon is the peak of the energy. Luna has literally waxed or grown in light, strength, and speed up until the point where she reaches the full moon. And the way that I always like to typify this to people is when you think about a full moon, think about a pregnancy. The new moon is the inception or the conception point, and the full moon is like when you think of a woman and she's like literally ready to drop. That's the moment at the full moon, right? It's where the power, the energy is peak, and it's where that energy is palpable. This is bringing things to the surface, the moment of the full moon. And you can ask anyone that works in a doctor's surgery, a hospital, people that work in bars, you can ask police officers. They will all watch out for the full moon because they know this to be a time where energy and emotions and people tend to be a bit more lunatic, right? So that's where that word lunatic comes from. We all get a bit more intense around the full moon. So when you think about this, this is the peak of the cycle. And this is a peak moment for all of us in many ways, but even more so at this moment in time and for this specific moon. Anything to add, Letao, about this full moon energy?
Well, not only am I a sun sign Cancer, but actually my moon is in Capricorn. So this full moon is really for me, The sun
Yeah.
is in Cancer, moon in Capricorn, right? So definitely I'm in the 29 degrees, the energetic degree in Capricorn. I think this is a little bit like, on one side, this is about that kind of sense of crisis, right? The urgency that we feel with this full moon. But also, I think probably you're going to talk about this later anyway, right? The moon is like 1 degree away from Pluto, right? So we're seeing that very, very intense conjunction happening with this full moon. So if the full moon is talking about completion, and finishing the existing cycle, and that Pluto is also bringing that sense of completion, ending, transformational energy into this full moon. So I would say this is a very intense yeah, a full moon. And I remember also, just for the sake of, talking about this, I don't know if our audience would know, of course, every month we have a full moon, but full moon happening at 29 degrees is very rare. If I remember correctly, the last time we had a moon at 29 degrees, as the full moon was back in 2021. So that was 3 years ago. And that was the full moon in Aquarius at 29 degrees. So literally 3 years ago, yeah, because that would be during Leo season, right? So
Mhm.
August, and now we're in July. So yeah, so whenever we have this 29 degrees energetic a full moon, definitely there's something for us to reflect on. What are we ready to release, and what are we ready to complete? And just one more thing that I want to say is this really depends on whether our audience know their natal chart or
Mm.
not. And so really look at where this full moon is occurring, which house it is in on your natal chart, and that might give you some kind of hint about what is this completion is related to. Yeah.
Absolutely. Really
Mhm.
incredible points. And thank you for reminding me about that. So,
Yeah.
guys, whenever we're talking about astrology, certainly on this channel, I am a whole signer. I know there are many people that want to burn me at the stake for that, but I am a whole sign astrology guy. So, I'm using the whole sign Western tropical zodiac. And absolutely, like Lital says, look at your natal chart. It's going to tell you where this full moon is falling in your
Mhm.
chart and what that house represents for you is an area of your life that is specific to you. This is why it's such an important thing to look at. And
Mhm.
because the moon, the full moon is a completion point, right? It's an ending, a culmination. And just to riff off of what you said there earlier, I really like that. And I think it's really important to know the full moon it is a completion point in many ways because it's that peak point. One thing that I like to say to everybody is in every new moon, which is effectively a grand beginning, there is an ending because it's the end of the previous cycle. And in every full moon, it is, there's always a beginning as well. And so to come back to this idea of a pregnancy, it's the end of the pregnancy, but the beginning of the life of the child. It's the end of the pregnancy, but the beginning of motherhood, right? So
Mhm.
in every full moon, while it is a completion point, there's also a new beginning. And this idea of reflection, such a powerful thing that you touch on there, because the moon itself is a reflective being. It's said that she doesn't have her own light, right? She reflects the light of the sun. And so reflection at this point is absolutely going to be paramount. And that being said, just want to talk about the sign of Capricorn. It gets a really bad rap. And what's interesting as well is if you're a Cancer sun and a Capricorn moon, that means you're also a full moon baby.
I am, yeah. I'm a full moon baby, yeah. A very full moon, actually, yeah. So my sun and moon are pretty much same degrees, 180 degrees, opposing each other, yeah.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
not necessarily, I'm just not something I'm proud of, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, opposition is never an easy aspect, right? But that's what it is.
That's so
Uh,
true. I think what I've noticed as well in client work, people that have a full moon or like
yeah.
are close to full moon, they tend to have to work longer than most people to see their
Mm,
success. It almost
yeah, yeah.
feels like, okay, is this going to happen? And then
Mm,
eventually, like they have their moment where they come into the light or into the sun. So you're
yeah, yeah.
probably not far off at this point.
I really
Um,
feel, for any type of full moon, right? It's about that seesaw effect. Right? That the sun is a little bit like, what we are looking for, what we're seeking, right? In terms of at a conscious level, and the moon is the subconscious level. It's what we emotionally, what we find secure and what we need, right? So full moon people, I realize they're always bouncing back and forth. I want this, but I actually need that. But if I go too much with what I need, then I feel like, no, it's too much. I'm going for the other. And personally, I've been feeling this seesaw effect
mhm.
for the past, I'm not gonna say how old I am, but we know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So, and I believe that for people, and also, in my personal counseling sessions, right, I realize not just in sun and the moon, for people who have a lot of opposition on their chart, right? You see a lot of I don't know, of maybe sun opposing Saturn, right? And the moon opposing, Uranus. The more opposing aspects they have, and the more they feel that kind of seesaw effect. Uh, so this is just something that what I noticed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Mm.
literally the reason I put my hand up is because I was like, yeah, he's talking about me right now. Yeah, I can
But
definitely.
you don't have anything in Capricorn, do
No,
you?
I have,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm 7 degrees away from a full moon in my birth chart. So I'm
Oh, I see, I see.
so
Okay.
effectively a full
You
moon.
are, yeah, so yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I think with natal sun moon, yeah, I mean anything within 10 degrees, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, will count. Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting. You've got two almost full moon babies here, giving you a full moon in Capricorn at
Yeah.
29 degrees, basically conjunct Pluto. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So in the comments, guys, get at us and let us know, because obviously I'll be answering these later. I'm sure Latao's going to drop in as well. Let us know where this full moon is falling in your chart. What house is this 29th degree Capricorn full moon hitting you guys at? Let us know in the comments below. It would be great to hear from you. So, the sign
Mm,
of Capricorn, as I say, it gets a bad rap because it's known to be quite focused. It's very much about discipline, hard work, structure. One of the things that I will say about Capricorn as a sign, much like its ruler, it builds to last, right? There's nothing about this that says, you know what, I'm going to do a half job. It's either you do it all or you do it right the first time round and properly, or you just don't do it at all, right? And as a sign, the moon is not necessarily totally happy in the sign of Capricorn because it's known as the driest sign for the moon, right? Not only that, this is Lunar on the complete opposite end of the horizon to where her natural home is. So this can be not even a frustrated Lunar, but it's a restricted Lunar. This is more like mum with the apron on and the wooden spoon ready to give you a tap on the butt, right?
mm,
Rather than
mm,
mum at
mm,
the, at the stove and patting you on the head and giving you hugs. This is a stern mother, if you like. And
mm,
the beauty of this is a sign for business. This is a sign for structure. It's a sign for hierarchy. And Capricorn, represented by the sea goat, it has this energy of rising out of the depths towards something that is in the future, knowing that there are things that you might set into motion that maybe you don't get to experience for a very long time to come. Capricorn understands delayed gratification better than any other sign. And so when we have a full moon here, this is potentially highlighting for all of us what we have given time, effort, energy, and dedication to, and what the results will be, or whether we haven't given those things. And so the results that we get are the same, right? What you put into Capricorn energy is exactly what you get out of it. There's no in between.
mm. Yeah. Well, I think when we talk about Capricorn, right, we naturally, want to look at the ruler of Capricorn, so which is our natal Saturn. Um, I'm really with you on this, the so-called delayed satisfaction, right? Delayed reward. In Roman mythology, Saturn was worshipped as the god of agriculture and also time. I remember last year when I visited Rome, I actually saw this beautiful ruin, right? The Temple of Saturn in the middle of the ancient what do you call that? The ancient forum in Rome, right? And my understanding of Saturn, it's a little bit like you are a farmer and you're trying to grow an apple tree, right? And then so it takes a long time for you to nurture that tree, water, fertilizing it, and you have to protect it, right? And also trim it when it's necessary. But you only get the fruit at the right timing, right? You can do all you need, but the apple will not grow. But at the right timing with the hard work, finally you harvest. And that satisfaction is really worth it. And that's the reason why we have been continuing with, agriculture thousands of years, because we know it's worth it. So I feel like, with working with Saturn, I've seen a lot of clients saying, oh, I don't like Saturn, it's too harsh.
Yes,
It's like, it's such a, right? It's like a disciplinarian, it's not like Jupiter. Oh, we love Jupiter, but I really feel that if you know how to work with Saturn, it can be extremely rewarding. Yeah.
So much of this I always liken like a Jupiter transit. I always say to people, it's like, when you see someone go to the supermarket and they're adamant that I'm not going to get a basket, I'm not going to get a trolley, so they put everything in their arms and then they end up dropping everything. That's Jupiter, right? It just
Yeah.
gives you
Yeah.
and gives you, and 9 times out of 10 people either waste it or they drop it because
Yeah.
it's just too much. And whereas Saturn says, I'm giving you this golden carrot. And that rocky ravine between there and this golden carrot, you have to
Yeah.
cross that. And once you've
Yeah.
crossed it, I will give you the golden carrot. Done. All
Yeah.
right. So you need a good dose of Saturn to see things through. I love your analogy of being a farmer, though. I think that's just perfect. And it's so true, right? It takes time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to pull up the chart. Let me just share my screen. He says, where are you? Okay. I don't know if anybody else is noticing the tech glitches recently. I think we're coming in. Well, we're already in Mercury's shadow at this point, are we? So
Yeah.
deep joy. All right. So this is the chart for the Capricorn full moon. So I've set this for London. So if you're anywhere else in the world, ignore the house placements because they won't be relevant for you. If you're here in the UK, maybe you can have a look at that. That being said, so we can see the sun here at 29 degrees of Cancer, and we can see our fair Luna here at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Right. This is a pretty big deal. So the sun and the moon are always opposite at the time of the full moon. That is what a full moon is. It's where Luna is fully reflecting the light of the sun, her celestial partner. And at this point, Luna, as we say, she's gathered her light, strength, and speed, and this is the peak moment. The peak of the full moon is already a very emotional time for everybody. You add to that this is at the 29th degree of Capricorn. Capricorn represents structures, it represents hierarchies, it represents our government, it represents society as a whole, the norms, the things that we buy into as traditions, as what needs to be done as a functioning society. All of these things are very, very Capricornian, right? So as Letao said, the sun is really about what we want, about what our consciousness is saying, whereas the moon is about what we need, right? And what's interesting about this is because this moon is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, that adds a second layer of that intensity because it's known as a crisis point. It's known as you have to look at this, you have to pay attention to this right now, and it's going to be that much more emotionally volatile for everybody. Now, in mundane astrology, Luna represents the people in the sign of structure. But to add a third layer of intensity to this, we've got Pluto, who is now at 0 degrees retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. Now, this by orb is because it has to be a 3-degree orb to be considered a true conjunction. By orb, this is a true conjunction, but look, Pluto is still just by a hair's breadth in the sign of Aquarius. So this is what we call a dissociated conjunction. They are conjunct by orb, but not by sign. What this tells me, I think personally, this is where, I don't know if you ever heard the song Hometown by Adele.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lyric where she says, you get the people and the government, everybody taking different sides.
Mm,
That is the epitome of this transit. When I saw this, like the moon conjunct Pluto, but in opposite signs, the sign of the people, Aquarius, with Lunar that represents the people here on Earth in the sign of the government, we're going to see some kind of clash here. There's
yeah,
so much intensity, and Pluto as an energy is very intense, right? It
yeah,
brings a lot of depth, it brings a lot of power, and it potentially brings a lot of power struggles. And the
yeah,
reason we can say that even more so, that Pluto, even though it's in Aquarius, it's still basically opposing the sun. The
yeah,
sun represents authority. So we're definitely likely to see something on the wider world stage where the people and the structures that are supposedly the governing bodies are, we're getting into it in some way. Now, obviously, I hope that's not the case, but it's likely to be really intense. And so watch out for power struggles, especially
yeah.
within your
Mm,
workplace. Watch out for power struggles within the traditions of your family. Watch out for power struggles among you and people that you consider to be authority figures in your life, anywhere from parents right through to your supervisor at work. These are all things to watch out for. And that's just on the back of this being a full moon in Capricorn at 29 degrees conjunct Pluto. Anything to add to that, Letao?
it's kind of interesting, right? Because you see, the Pluto is, giving this, this Pluto effect, right, to both the sun and the moon, opposing the sun and conjuncting the moon. So, like what you said, right, that this could be about, power struggle energy, lies, right, secrecy, manipulation, right? That's all the, when we look at Pluto, right, that's the
Yeah.
negative things that we can talk about. But what is also interesting is that even though the sun and sorry, the moon and Pluto are in different signs, but they're both ruled by Saturn in Pisces. So you can
Yes.
actually see like the and again, this Pisces energy again is about secrecy, right? Secrecy, the things that we can't see
Yeah.
on the surface, right? But it's kind of like hidden. It's related to the 12th house on
Mhm.
our astrological wheel, and so it's kind of fascinating to see this, right? So the moon, which is the people, and the Pluto, sorry, the moon in Capricorn, which is showing the authority, and the Aquarius is the people. But they're both ruled by the something similar, the Pisces
Yes.
energy, right? So I feel that definitely the clash is there, but it's almost like they're clashing also based on the similar reasons. Because
Yes.
right, that's how I see this. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what? And that's really wonderful, especially because the moon is in a really tight sextile to a retrograde Neptune.
Neptune.
What,
Yeah,
yeah, what this adds to us, because when you think about the sign of Pisces, yes, we're talking about the subconscious, we're talking about the collective unconscious, the space of the unseen. And Saturn being in that space is bringing limitation there. And when you think about a full moon, it's an illumination point. So I agree. I think this is a point at which some kind of secret comes to light. And
mm,
because the Saturn energy is in the sign of Pisces, which is ruling the moon and the Pluto, and obviously Lunar is in that sextile to Neptune, I think there's a chance here for some kind of either altruistic or some kind of way forward that everybody is happy with, even if they're not fully happy. It's like, okay,
mm,
what this is the best that it could be given what we had to work with,
yeah.
right? Like, yeah, I that's really, really an interesting point. So the other aspects that I want to touch on sort of quickly, at the time of this full moon, which is already a PowerPoint, we've got Pluto retrograde at 0 degrees of Aquarius in an exact trine to Mars. Mars, Pluto, especially as a trine, is incredible power. Like it's, super intense, absolutely, but it's incredible power. The last time we had this kind of energy was actually across Earth signs. But what I really like about this, that I think is actually great for us, is if at this time you have something that seems like it's been insurmountable for you on a mental level, whether this is studies, whether it's something that you've tried to learn, whether it's a skill that you've tried to acquire but just couldn't quite sort of get to it, initiate this at this time. Start it at this moment where Pluto and Mars are literally in that trine. Now, yes, Pluto is retrograde, but this is an incredible amount of power. And I will say, given the fact that Pluto is going to come back to the 29th degree of Capricorn and hover there for a good 2 months, and on top of that, it's really hitting that, and it's obviously in this really tight trine to Uranus as well. That's a 3-degree orb. There's a chance here to really break out of a rut under what the illumination, so whatever is shared with you at this time of revelation, which is a full moon, something is revealed. There's a chance for you to break out of at least a mental rut, but you have to do something with it. As soon as you get that information, as soon as you see, right, wow, this is what's been holding me back. This is what's been stopping me from moving forward. This has been, whatever's been in the way of me losing weight, or maybe it's not, I haven't got the job that I want. Whatever is revealed to you at this time, you see it, and then immediately you act on that. Don't wait for it. Use this moment. As soon as you have that revelation, jump straight in behind it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what I want to talk about now, because truth be told, there are other aspects in here, like there's lots, but we've got some other things that we want to get into for you guys as well. So, we've had a look at the chart, we've given some ideas of how that might hit. So, first things first, because this moon falls at 29 degrees of Capricorn, it falls under the third decan of Capricorn, which in Letao's deck, which is the Oracle of the Mythic Heroes. I absolutely love this deck, by the way, and I've been very, very lucky to be gifted a set, and I absolutely love them. There are links in the description box below for you to buy your own set if you would like to, and I advise that you do. Right, and this is the card that represents that. So the hero on this card is Leonidas. For those of you that aren't familiar with that name, if you haven't seen the film 300, go and check it out. I mean, really hot guys in very skimpy underwear. What's not to like, right? Jokes aside, it's a brilliant film, and the message that it tries to convey to you is that no matter how insurmountable the odds are, providing you have the guts and the courage to go for it, you can and you will persevere over anything and everything that stands in your way. So, Letao, please give us a bit more insight about this card.
Well, it's very interesting, right? So when I designed this deck, a lot of the figures from Oracle of the Mythic Heroes were from the classical mythology, right? But this figure is a little bit different because Leonidas was not really a mythic figure. He was actually, written in the real history. So he was a little bit special, right? And I always have this, a special, love towards Leonidas. Actually, several years ago when I visited Greece, I went to Thermopylae, which is a place where the 300 battles actually happened, and they had a statue there and I actually went there and I had myself, I did a selfie, right, with a statue, because I really feel that as a Capricorn moon, right, I mean, Leonidas, I have a lot to I can sometimes associate with myself with his spirit, right? It's about, because Leonidas, his battle, he knew from the beginning of that it was a hard battle, but he was really persistent in defending his people, and he knew that somehow he had to be there. And it was really about value. What do you think that is worth the effort and worth the blood? So yeah, and I really feel that this has a lot to do with what you said earlier about Mars trine Pluto. It's that power that we need to we need to bring out in order to face whatever challenges that we're seeing. However, having said that, I do feel that more towards 2025, there's going to be some divine assistance coming to us, though. Yeah, as you know, maybe we can talk about in the next video in more toward the end of this year, right? We see all the outer planets forming a beautiful trine sextile with each other, right? The Uranus, Neptune, and also Pluto. And this is not very common, right? Because they move so slowly. And so I feel that with all these kind of assistance, right, whatever that you're trying to manifest, specifically when Saturn finishes its retrograde, more toward the end of this year, I think a lot of things will start to bloom. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I knew that this Saturn retrograde was going to be a tough one. And I really feel like the reason this one in particular is going to be so tough is because what comes after is going to be so solid and so secure and so aligned with what you truly want and envision for your life that you're going to be like, yeah, do you know what? Absolutely, this was worth it. And if you guys cast your mind back to 2022. I talked about this in one of my videos and I can't remember which one it is. I'll try to dig it out for before later. And what I said was, as soon as Saturn entered Pisces, we already had Neptune there, right? So Neptune has given us the ability, it's in its modern home sign. Neptune gave us the ability to dream the dream. And Pluto, sorry, Saturn coming into that same sign of Pisces said, okay, Neptune, I see you. I see the dream. I understand what that highest hope, goal, wish, transcendent vision is for your life. Now let me show you what steps you're going to need to build that into something real, to make it tangible. And so, look, I got goosebumps, right?
Yeah,
So,
me too, actually. Yeah.
So I thought, right, okay, the second retrograde of Saturn this time round, this is the one that solidifies it. This is the one that makes it real. So I second that wholeheartedly. I think it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. Yeah.
so we are going to go. I also wanted to mention. So Letao also has a second deck, which again I've been graciously gifted a set of. And this one is the Oracle of the Celestial Deities. If you are trying to really learn the planets, this is an incredible deck for it. Like if you really want to delve into them and start utilizing them on your astrological journey, this is a fantastic deck to do that with, I have to say. And the artwork, if you love manga and anime and anything along those lines, you're going to love this. The artwork is beautiful and it has a real whimsical energy about it. I think this one versus the mythic heroes, it's a little bit more fantastical almost.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And they're absolutely beautiful, as you can see. I really, really love them. But I have to say, my personal favorite is this one. Because I was obsessed with Pegasus as a kid. You guys already know that. But I told Letao this when I saw him today, and he was like, oh, that's cool. Okay, so you will also have in the link, there's a link for those if you want to purchase them in the description box below. So make sure you check them out. So what we're going to do now is go sign by sign. I'm going to pull a tarot card. Letao is going to pull an oracle card from one of his decks or both. It's up to you. And we're going to see what this full moon has in store for you and your sign. So I would like to bless our decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So I will start with Aries. Letao, when you're ready, tell me to stop.
Stop.
Ooh, okay. So Aries, wow. You have the magician. I mean, look, this is a 10th house full moon for you. So the fact that you've got the magician as your tarot card, you really couldn't ask for any more. We're talking about a peak experience in your career. We're talking about you being more visible than you've been in a long while and maybe ever. And this is a full moon of epic proportions because it's the last time we're going to have this energy before Uranus moves. So you won't have that trine again and you won't have it conjunct Pluto again. So this is a huge deal. And the magician is really saying to you, what do you want from your career? This is a time to pursue it, right? To get really clear about what the future looks like for your career and where you go from here.
All right, so I've already shuffled the deck here, so I'll just pull them one by one, right? And so for Aries, the card we have got is Juno, the goddess of sky and marriage and partnership. Yeah. And so I think for Aries people, this card, if we're talking about, the 10th house energy, this could be about really developing, their career and their credentials and through some type of partnerships. So this could be about them collaborating with other people, bring the right, partnership in. What the other thing about Juno when it comes to career is she's also the goddess of sky. So I see her a little bit like the female Jupiter, right, in the sky. So for me, Juno is about looking at the bigger picture. Instead of being bothered by all the small details in front of us, she's about looking at things far away from you. What is your bigger vision? And what is the thing that you're really trying to achieve? And the interesting thing is in mythology, when Juno or Hera, right, her Greek counterpart, when she actually focuses on the bigger picture, she actually is happy. Because all the stories when she's upset, it's because she's so bothered by what happened, the small things. Oh, he did this, she did that. Oh, he said that about me, and then she loses her vision. And so this is probably, I would say, with the magician card is really telling Aries people to, to empower themselves and focus on the bigger goals there.
Yeah, love that because that's the magician, right? Go big or go home.
Yeah.
You get out of the minutia.
Yeah.
What is the big goal? All
Right.
right, for Taurus, you have the Page of Pentacles. My dear Taurus, your soul is speaking to you, and it's time for you to start assimilating the knowledge and the wisdom that you've gained over a lifetime and start doing something with it. And for you guys, this is actually a ninth house full moon. The ninth house is higher learning, education, wisdom, philosophy. It's also it's also the house of adventure, and it's the house that we call, in ancient astrology at least, it was called the house of God. What this means is this is how your beliefs shape your world. It's about how you connect with the cosmos. And this Page of Pentacles, in one of the books that I read, and I'll always remember this, this card actually represents what we call the body of the soul. And what that means is it's about your purpose. So this ninth house full moon in Capricorn could be revealing to you what your soul really wants and what it feels like it's here to learn.
That's so amazing. You just said, the body of the soul, right? Because the card that I have got with for Taurus people is Persephone. Okay,
Ah!
all right. So the goddess of spring, but also the queen of the underworld. For me, Persephone is about going back to simplicity. 6 months of the year, she's in the darkness with her husband, Hades. But the other 6 months of the year, she becomes a maiden again. She becomes a virgin again. She goes back to her mother and she feels her life is pure. And so I see Persephone as coming out of the darkness. And so you find your simplicity, you find what truly refreshes you. And that's the soul part, I think. There are
Yeah.
two mythological figures I usually associate with soul. One person is, well, one goddess is Persephone and the other one is Psyche, because
Mm.
that literally in Greek language, that means our soul, right? But this is definitely sort of like, I think for Taurus people, for, over the next several months, it's about finding the pure soul within yourself. What is simple for you and what is just who you are, right? And perhaps with that Page of Pentacles, developing your skills in that aspect.
Yeah, I love that, right? Bringing it,
Yeah.
stripping it back to basics.
Yeah.
Do you know what's really funny? In the tarot deck, Persephone actually represents the high priestess. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I always talk about with her is she has this extra quality, which is purity.
Yeah.
Strip it back to basics, right? Take out all it. Yeah, love that. All right, so Gemini, this is happening for you in your eighth house, the deep, dark space in the chart and the sky. But it's also a very psychological space, right? It represents other people's money, sex, death, the taboo. And for you guys, you have the moon. What this tells me is this is a deeply reflective time for you that helps you really assimilate and look at your past in a way that is clear. So you're not, it's not like, it's almost like rather than looking at your past and thinking, oh, I'm worried about this or I'm afraid of that, you look at it, you can see it, and you're just like, okay, now I understand that, I can move beyond it. Right, I'm no longer afraid of it. I actually feel because this card can come with confusion. And I think very often confusion is what causes fear, right? And this full moon, this point of revelation with this moon card, you are seeing your past and you're putting it in its correct place. It's like, yes, that's my history, but I'm going to stand on top of that rather than it be on top of me.
Uh, It's amazing how synced your cards and my cards are. The cards I have for Gemini people is Pan. Okay, so
Mm,
gonna explain a little bit what this is, right? The Pan actually he is the god of the mountains and trees, right, and the natures. He is a hedonist. He dances, sings. He gets drunk. But according to some scholars, they say Christians or religious people really are scared of him because they think the Pan looks like the devil,
mhm.
right, with the horns on his head, and that is why the English word panic is always associated with his name Pan. And so it's kind of interesting that you put out the moon, which is about our inner fear, right? Because we are not seeing clearly what is in front of us. And with this Pan energy, this could be talking to us how to release our fear and how to face that, the uncertainty and understand, okay, and how am I going to deal with the situation? Now, for Gemini people, you do have got Saturn in Pisces square your
Mm.
natal sun, right? So there's definitely some kind of realization coming to you. But I do feel that with this realization, a lot of the fear will dissolve. Because when you see what it is and you know what to do. The good thing about Pan is I realized in my personal session, Pan people are extremely intelligent. They're very resourceful because Pan is a goat. You know what I mean? He has horns and he has, hooves, right? So goats, they can climb very steep hills, right? So they always be able to find some alternative solutions when they have something they're worried about. So the good thing about this is, I do believe, I mean, Gemini, come on, they are, the resourceful people anyway.
Very.
So yeah, but I think the point for them is about releasing their fear that they create in their own mind. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. And, that's a perfect analogy actually for a lunar transit, which is what we're talking about. The
Yeah.
moon is a reflective being, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes the way that we look at something or the lens through which we see something is actually really what creates the problem. What's really interesting as well, because this is an eighth house full moon for them, Pan is pleasure, right?
Mm.
Like giving yourself over to it and knowing
Yeah.
what the difference is between pleasure and too much, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we have to have a balance. It's so, so important. So, Gemini, use those options, baby. All right, for Cancer, you have the Eight of Pentacles.
I'm
Right.
sorry. I just pulled a card for Cancer. I have to show you.
Yeah, look.
Hephaestus. Okay, I'm like, it's
Right.
crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, but
So,
go. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Let's go. Let's
you'll
go. Yeah,
you'll see why we're both kind of like, hang on a sec, when Letao talks about that card. So Cancer has the Eight of Pentacles, right? So this for me is always about work, the job, the apprenticeship. It's the energy that goes into what your skill set and your professional focus is. And this is a seventh house full moon for Cancer people, right? Which is all to do with your relationships, partnerships, connections, collaborations. We're literally collaborating right now on a project about the full moon, which is work related,
yeah,
right? So literally, it
yeah.
just couldn't spell itself out any clearer.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we're both, Cancer, Sun, Moon, right?
Yeah.
So this is literally talking about us, and for all of you guys who are Cancers, right? Um, Vulcan, right? This is a Roman name, right? So the Greek counterpart's name is Hephaestus. He's a god of metalcraft. So if you read mythology, you will know he represents the industriousness, in us, right? The hardworking spirit. But also he represents humility, because in the midst, even though he was extremely talented and hardworking, and for a long time he was not acknowledged by his mother. Juno or Hera, because he was, you know, according to myth, he was ugly, and also he was handicapped, right? So one, you know, he was limping, and from the perspective of his mother, you know, I'm a goddess, right? How come the son that I just gave birth to is handicapped? You know, I don't want him. So he was pretty much, you know, disowned by his mother, and but through his hard work and you know, his because he had a goal in his mind, right? He knew what his value was. And eventually, you know, he had a very happy ending with his mother. Eventually, they reconciled and he forgave his mother, and his mother, you know, embraced him again. And so I think for Cancer people, apart from just being hardworking, I do feel that this is also telling you that if you're looking for instant validation, be patient with it, because it took him a long time to get the validation he wanted. And if you're feeling that you're putting so much effort into something, you're not seeing the coins yet, give it a little bit extra time and just be consistent. And I assure you guys it's going to come to you.
Love that. And right, the Eight of Pentacles is literally about dedication to your craft.
Yeah.
So stick with it, right? Absolutely stick with it. For the Leos among you, you have the Queen of Wands. This is so crazy, right? The sun, right? So what planet or what luminary rules Leo? The sun. And do you
Crazy.
know why else this is like blowing my mind? The Queen of Wands literally represents the court card that literally represents Leo. So you show up as yourselves, like in all of your glory. And this Queen of Wands, there's a couple of things, because this is a sixth house full moon for you, which is your physical health and vitality, your body, how you look after and how you maintain the things in your life that you desire to keep. You've got the Queen of Wands, which one of her taglines is not just about really meeting life as it is, you know, and fully engaging with it, but it's also about being really clear about your boundaries. And this really, you know, in order to be clear about your boundaries, you have to maintain a sense of self. And so this sixth house full moon, the sixth house is the house of drudgery, the things that we feel like are burdens or challenges or the things that encroach on us. Now, we all have to maintain things for life, but having firm boundaries lets people know this is my responsibility and that is yours.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, so the card we have for Leo people is your planet, the sun, right? Well, for me, the Apollo is, you know, the god of the sun or the god of light is Apollo in Greek mythology, and he is also the god of music, art, right, creativity. So again, this is Leo, this is your talent, and you know, you're expressive, you're artistic, right? Some of you guys might be very good at, let's say, you know, maybe you're good at performing, you know, you're an actor, or you like singing, whatever creative expressions you have. And with the sun energy, I would say is don't be shy to show it to the world. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, the sun cannot be hiding behind the cloud and hoping that it will, you know, things will come to you. You have to really shed your light. And also, when you look at actually our solar system, the sun is really the one shining in the center. Is giving its light to everyone else, and everyone else is, you know, going around it like the audience watching it, right? So imagine you are the actor, and you will be given the stage to show who you are. And with this sun, I would just say that make sure that you are being seen by the society. You are being seen by the people around you. Yeah.
I love that. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, Virgo. For you guys, this is your fifth house of joy, pleasure, creativity, romance. It's also the house of sporting endeavors, right? How you use your body in ways that makes you sweat. It's, you know, things like hobbies. It's even your side hustle if you have one. And for this, you have the World card. The greatest message that I could give you here, if you are a Virgo, is whatever you are working on, whatever you're creating, whatever you want to put out into the world, don't do it on your own. Create a community around it. Tap into the people and the networks around you in order to get the most or the best out of it.
Right. So the card that we have for Virgo is the Gorgon Medusa, right? So I just want to piggyback on what you just said about, you know, this world card, right? You know, collaboration, things like that. So Medusa energy is usually with that world card. I think it's saying that the opportunities will be there, but possibly a lot of the Virgos are not seeing it yet. So this could be about us feeling that, okay, I need to do this and this, but I don't know how to do it, or I'm not seeing where the opportunities are. I mean, at the end of the day, Medusa is a little bit like, the gaze, right?
Mhm.
When you look into a Medusa's eyes and she will turn into stone. So this is about us not seeing it. We're being blinded by something, but it's actually there. So the best thing that I would say to deal with this energy is about looking into a mirror. Because in some version of the classical mythology, Medusa was actually, conquered by Perseus by using a mirror, right? And in some of the versions, she actually saw her own reflection in the Perseus mirror, and she turned herself into stone. And so this is about us needing to see things from a different perspective. Either it's through self-reflection, or through, this could be about communicating with other people, and then we will be given that different perspective. And I think that for Virgo people, this is very important. And I just have a very strong feeling because I'm a Virgo ascendant, so I can associate myself with this. It's a little bit like it's there, but you can't see it. And you're thinking, what the hell? Like, where is it? Right. But literally it's there. But so it's just telling you that, okay, step back a little bit and look at this from a different perspective. Possibly you're going to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, especially because we've just had that Mars Uranus conjunction, which was on Algol, right? Which is
Yeah.
effectively Medusa.
Mm.
So whatever that stuff is for you guys, in some way, shape, or form, it's broken now. So now, once the dust and the rubble settles, you just got to take a moment, like Letao says, and step back to see what has been revealed. And this full moon is a revelation point. So hopefully it will come forward and find you.
Yeah.
So for Libra, this is happening in your fourth house of home, family, property, real estate. It's like your deep emotional makeup. And your fourth house, truthfully speaking, as well, it's what is comfort to you? What is hidden value and wealth for you? What is your wealth underground, as they say? And for this, you've got the Page of Wands. I would not be surprised if at this time you have a dream, a vision, somebody comes. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, Letao. I've had many over a lifetime. You see someone, they come up to you, they say something to you that's like the exact thing you need to hear at that moment, and they disappear, and you're like, okay, you never see them again, right? Like
Mhm.
it's so crazy how this happens from time to time. The Page of Wands represents a message, represents a message that comes to you that is bigger than you, that is beyond you. And so, what this tells me is around the time of this full moon, you're likely to be having a revelation around your family, your heritage, who you are connected to, where you live, how you live there. All of these things could be really palpable at this time. And the message or the information that finds you at this time is meant to show you what else there is for you in that area of your life.
Interesting. The card that I have for Libra is really their card, is Venus, actually.
Hey.
Right. So Libra, this is your energy, right? The goddess of love, beauty, and relationship, right? I think with this Page of One, right? So earlier you talked about messages coming to them, right? And to really let them listen to what they need to listen. I think this because Venus represents people. I always associate this card with people rather than doing things, by yourself, or get the answer just through your own thinking. I think this Venus card probably is telling them to network and to kind of like get together with other people and see things from different perspectives. But also, I think this for Libra people, it's also about understanding who they are, because this is their card. And
Mm.
one of the things I see about Venus is, a lot of people say Venus is about relationships, right? It's about someone wanting a partner. But truly, when Venus is in us, right, this is about self-love. And I think this is about how we see the beauty and see the value within ourselves. So I think a lot of the messages coming to us will also be associated with that. It's a bit like for the things that you want to achieve or you want to do, but that has to be based on your realization about your self-worth. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And yeah, you know what? I'll second that. And the only thing that really I would like to add to it is
Mm.
the Page of Wands is when you think about what pages were, right? In the royal court, the page was the person that delivered messages and they went from one place to another. And truthfully speaking, a house is just a house. Home is what is who you are in that space with. And, truth be told, if you are a Libra, traditions and creating a family or creating a sense of home, maybe you're the person that's supposed to do that. So I agree. I don't think you're meant to go it alone. For Scorpio, you have, and this for you guys is in your third house of your local area. Your third house is also your skill set, your mind, communications, contracts, can sometimes even be how you interact with people on that local level, and even siblings if you have them. You guys have the Knight of Cups. So if you have siblings, I wouldn't be surprised, Neptune, right? I wouldn't be surprised if if a sibling brings you an opportunity or highlights something to you that you haven't seen. And I will also say it's very possible that an opportunity could present itself for you to do something at a local level, at a grassroots level.
Oh. Neptune in its best way, yeah, to me, as a planet, it's about guiding us to where we need to be without our control. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I always see Neptune, right? We all know Neptune is the Roman god of ocean, right? So I think the best way to work with Neptune energy is a bit like imagine you're on a small boat drifting in the middle of the ocean. You might be looking at front, looking back, left and right. All you see is water, right? And you might be thinking, shit, where am I going, right? Am I lost, right? It's a bit like that kind of Neptunian, Seven of Cups, right? That kind of energy. Which cup do I pick? But sometimes, I feel to the best way to work with Neptune is that if you can just let the ocean waves guide you naturally instead of driving the boat, right? Or forcing the boat to go in certain directions, eventually the ocean waves will guide you towards somewhere. And the interesting thing about that is, even though it might not be the place that you originally planned, you're going to love it anyway. And I always say this to my clients. I say, well, it's a bit like you want to go to Hawaii, right? So you're trying to drive your boat towards that direction and you get lost in the middle of the ocean. Don't stress. Let the ocean waves and the wind carry you to where you need to be. And when you wake up the next day, you see a beautiful island. That might not be Hawaii. That might be, I don't know, Mykonos. But you're gonna love it anyway, right? You're gonna realize, oh, you know what? This is not what I expected, but I'm done with it, right? I'm happy with this. So Neptune, I think for Scorpio people, it's a bit like saying perhaps you guys are going through a period of time where you're trying to suss things out at this period of time. Have a little bit faith in where life is guiding you.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, absolutely. So for Sagittarius people, this is happening in your second house of money, finances, resources. It's also the house of your money, the money that you earn, the money that you save. It's the house of value, what you attribute value to, right? So if your first house is you, your second house is what you have. It's your possessions. It's the things that you own. For this, you've got the Ace of Cups. If you have had a wish around your finances, if you've had a desire to make more money, to create more money, or to experience more wealth or more abundance, the Ace of Cups says it's absolutely on its way. If we had to narrow this down, this would say literally within the next week. But more importantly, the Ace of Cups has a very specific quality. It's open-hearted. And so, in order for you to really access that abundance or that financial power or gifting that you're looking for, you got to make sure that your heart aligns with being open to receive it.
Beautiful, yeah, beautiful. We have got Pallas Athena, goddess of wisdom for Sagittarius. It's very funny because I have a really good friend who is a Sagittarius. He's in the Sun Moon, both in Sagittarius, and he's doing really well in career at this moment. I always associate Athena with the seventh house and also the 10th house. I
Mhm.
always feel that these two
Mm.
houses are related to Athena, right? The justice and also the career part. Whenever I see Athena, this is about you taking control of your own life. You know which direction you need to go to with that Ace of Cups, right? This is about following your heart, following you what actually your soul is really telling you where to go. And this Athena energy is about your strategy, right? It's not just about, oh, I love doing it, that's why I'm doing it, but also you start with the passion, right? You start with, oh, I'm interested in doing this. But then after that is actually your strategy, right? Your knowledge, your wisdom, and how you want to be guided. It's a little bit like that.
Love it. Yeah, that's brilliant. Really. Okay. For Capricorn, this is your full moon. You are in the spotlight. This is highlighting you, and you get the sun. Of course you do, right? For having Pluto travel. you're having Pluto travel through through your sign for the last 15 years, right? Let's say 14, 15 years, give or take. I watched every Capricorn I know be reduced to rubble, to literal ash, and watch them literally be rebuilt. This full moon is going to show you the strength and the power that you have gained throughout the last 15 years. And I think this full moon is going to highlight to you what that power is able to do for you now. The sun is the greatest card in the deck. It's the lightest card in the deck. It doesn't have any negative connotations. And more importantly, it adds light, heat, power, and strength to everything that it touches. So, whatever challenges you have around this full moon, they either pass very quickly or they're nowhere near as bad as they could have been. And whatever blessings show up as for you as part of this full moon, they are enhanced in some way. This is
Yeah.
your full moon, and we'll never have another one like this again. So use it.
I'm so glad to see the sun card coming out for Capricorn, right? Pegasus, right? Just like what Raphy just said, right? This is your favorite card, right? Pegasus is about rising above, right? The difficulties, right? So, whatever mountains there, it cannot block Pegasus. Pegasus will always be able to, overcome that, with flying colors. So this is about you rising above from your challenges, whatever challenges that you have been facing, right, Capricorns? The
Mm.
second thing about Pegasus is this, I always associate this card with friendship, community, right, and the divine help. And both you and I know that Capricorn people are not very good at asking for help because they just feel that I'm on this, my responsibility, right? I got this, right? But sometimes Capricorn people, yes, you got it, but you also don't have it. So Pegasus is a divine horse that assisted Bellerophon, right? The sacred and the famous Greek hero, right? In conquering the monster called I think it's called Chimia, yeah, or something like that.
Yes,
So
yeah, yeah.
right, it was, yeah, so it was in the Bellerophon's famous story. So Pegasus was your comrade. Pegasus is the one that let you ride on his back, right, and rise above. So I
Mm.
do feel that with Capricorn people, don't shy away from connecting with people and ask for what you want, and you'll be really surprised that how much support you can actually get. The horse, right,
Yeah,
the white
right.
horse, literally the baby on it, right? So I really think that for Capricorn people, this is a time for them to open up, and sometimes it's okay to tell people that sometimes I'm vulnerable too and I need you.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's
Yeah.
perfect. And the sun card really has that essence. When you look, that's why the baby is completely Starkers, right? Because there's I'm meeting life on life's terms and I'm open to whatever it brings me. And if I need to, I will ask for or gain whatever I need. I love it. It's brilliant. Aquarius. So for you guys, this is happening in your 12th house, the hidden space in the chart, right? This is a pretty gnarly house. The fourth, the eighth, and the 12th, they tend to be the ones that really get us with our stuff. And the 12th house, truth be told, a lot of people are afraid of this one. And the only way that this can really trip you up, aside from hidden enemies, but sometimes the hidden enemy is the hidden part of yourself that you're not really paying attention to. It's our self-sabotaging tendencies and or beliefs. And for you guys, you have the Knight of Swords. So I'm going to say this full moon will be quite intense for you, Aquarius. And the message behind this Knight of Swords is don't charge straight in, all guns blazing, because of how you feel, right? Check the facts before you go straight in, like, I can't believe this is happening, or before you go to war for something, check to see why am I so emotional about this? Why am I so locked into how this is making me feel? Why am I so emotionally compromised at the moment, because the actions that you have are ultimately going to be dictated by how you feel, right? And because this is happening in a space that's hidden to you, the beauty of this full moon, a full moon shining into what I would call like your closet, where all of your skeletons are, the beauty of that is you get to see. It's no longer a monster in the dark that just lurks and makes noises, and you're like, oh shit, I know that's there, but I don't know what's there. Now you get
Mm.
to get a really good look at it to say, okay, This is about my past, my heritage, my whatever it is. This is the stuff that I've been clamping down into that spiky ball at the base of my consciousness. And actually, if I open it up, one, there could be some incredible insight and power there for you to gain. Two, it no longer has the ability to control you. You do this when you're emotionally compromised, when you refuse to see what is there. All right. So this is more of an
100%.
instruction than a prediction, I would say.
100%. Yeah, I agree with that. The card that we have for Aquarius is Ceres, right? The Roman goddess of agriculture, right, and nutrition. I think this card for me, it's all about how you see. Ceres is a very stable and steady energy. I think this is a time for Aquarius people to embrace that. I see this energy also associated with Taurus. So this is about you nurture something slowly. And so for the first thing that I'll say for Aquarius people is health comes into focus for you, right? So your daily routine, right? Your healthy routine. Are you eating well? Are you sleeping well, right? Are you, taking
Drinking
nutrition,
your
right?
water.
Exactly. Are also eating on time, right? So things like that. And so it's about taking good care of yourself at a very physical and a very grounded level. But also, I think like what you said, right? Try not to rush into something based on your feelings, because Ceres, I always see Ceres like a tree. And for a tree to flourish, right, you can't rush it. It's a little bit like that. Let it naturally grow, right? And at the different timings, you're going to see, the green leaves coming out, and the certain leaves will also fall. So it's a little bit like that, kind of regulate yourself in a healthy way. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That is really helpful as well because obviously I'm
Mhm.
an Aquarius sun, so I'm
Ah,
like, okay, yeah, we've got Pluto in our sign now, so this
yeah,
idea of really looking after yourself has to
yeah,
be
yeah,
paramount, right? Whether you're
yeah.
sun, moon, or ascendant Aquarius, that
Mm.
Pluto, remember what I said about Capricorn, it's going to reduce you to rubble first so that it can completely reconstruct everything about you. Yeah, just perfect. Thank you. And then Pisces. This is happening in your 11th house of higher goals, aspirations, and visions and dreams for the future. This is about what comes next. It's about the joy and the happiness and the creation of life in your future. The 11th house is also benefactors, people that can help you and support your goals into becoming realities. And the 11th house is also social connections. It's really, in a lot of ways, it's a kind of social media as well, although social media is now more third house, I would say, than the 11th, right? You have the Wheel of Fortune. You couldn't ask for much more than that, right? This is that Jupiterian energy that you already carry. And this is to say, what you envision for the future is already in the process of being built. And now you have the luck to see it through to completion. You've got Saturn in your sign that's crystallizing your energy and helping you gain some more sort of momentum. And I think that Wheel of Fortune says that this full moon is going to highlight to you what is really worth pursuing for your future.
The final card for Pisces is Pluto,
Yeah.
right? That we put out. It's kind of like Saturn feeling, right? It's a little bit similar, I think. Yeah. Pluto, there are two layers how I see Pluto in this specific deck. Yeah. The first thing it definitely is about transformation. Transformation, change, letting go of the part that is no longer necessary for us. I mean, with this Saturn transit, right, Pisces, I think a lot of our Pisces brothers and sisters are already doing it anyway. But further, if we go one layer further, right? I think in Roman ancient Latin language, actually, so Pluto is associated with the word wealth, right? So Pluto, also in ancient Greek mythology, Hades, right? I mean, he rules the underworld, and that's where we find gold, silver, crystals, and minerals, and that's where really treasures are embedded. And I feel like with this group, right, for Pisces people, perhaps when you are going through, your own transformation, just like the Wheel of Fortune, you're going to encounter a lot of hidden treasure along the way. And some of them you haven't seen that actually so far, right? And you're not even aware that you have that treasure within yourself. And so I do feel that this could be a very, very good card for a lot of Pisces people. When very soon, when Neptune leaves Pisces, right, and Saturn is, will continue its journey in Pisces, you're going to discover a lot of things at a very practical level, and you're going to see, okay, which one, like, you know, what you mentioned earlier, right, about these two planets, what
Yeah.
part was just a dream and what part is actually something I can harvest.
Yeah, I love that.
Uh,
And I love what you mentioned actually about Pluto and wealth. And it's very
yeah,
true because your 11th house in your chart is the gains that you get from your career or your business. So it is a very gainful or and potentially even money orientated house.
yeah.
Okay, Letao, as always, that was fantastic. But before we go, there is something that I want to share with everybody. Hopefully you can see that. Letao has joined us on YouTube, and I'm so chuffed to see it. So this is his channel. As you can see, he's got tons of videos up already, July horoscopes, which are brilliant, by the way. He's got shorts going on. Some of these are fantastic. One of my personal favorites was, where is it? This one. I really like this. I thought that was nice. And where are you? Aha, yes, this one. It was like about the progress. I was like, yeah, I needed that little nudge in the rib to keep me going. But Letao TKH is the name of his channel. So please, guys, let's help him get to his first big milestone of 1,000 subs. So if you can head over and hit that subscribe button, we would be absolutely, totally grateful for that. And I will link to his channel in the description box below as well. Letao, as always, man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you. I love working with you. I think we have a lot of fun, and you know, the way that it's just all in sync is nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much again, yeah, for having me. You know, I hope that we can do this more often in the future. Me too. I love working with you, you know, because I feel that we really complement each other, right? And your expertise and my expertise, yeah. So hopefully, you know, our audience, right, will also benefit from our videos and our chats. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So please tell everybody where they can find you before we let you go.
Right. So I have a official Instagram account, and the name is just my name, Letao Wang, LetaoWang. And that's where I'm most active, trying to, you know,
He's
get
killing it on Instagram, I will add. Absolutely killing it on Instagram.
uh, so every day, you know, uploading new things, right? Publications, you know, articles that I write for magazines and astrology magazines and tarot, you know, websites. YouTube channel that we just, you know, thank you so much for sharing that with our audience. And also, you know, you can find the two Oracle decks. So these two, right? Oracle of the Mythic Heroes and Oracle of the Celestial Deities on Amazon. Just type the name in, you will find it.
Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And also his website. Don't forget to
Oh,
check
yeah.
that too.
Yeah. So my official website is www.thehealingkingdom.com.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really look forward to the next one. Guys, again, let us know in the comments, what house is this full moon happening in for you? What messages and insights really spoke to you about today's video? And we will see you again very soon for more insight and more info. With that said, take care. Have a wonderful Capricorn full moon. Look after yourselves through that process as well.